So I always get the question about when do I start it, and it's kind of tricky because when do you really start? Like I think a few months ago, my parents told me I started when I was 3 years old, and I started to do like big paintings with chalk on the wall. I did like a whale, and he was so worried about like, oh, my grandma's wall, and she's like, no, let her do. It's her thing, and that's when it started. Through the years, I always been very expressive. I was doing poetry when I was a teenager, and I was always drawing. Like I spent a lot of time at the house just like drawing a lot, and that's how I killed the hours when I was bored. And then when I was 14, I took my first painting class, and I never stopped. I started oil when I was 14. I only had like 4 classes of drawing and then 1 class of painting, and then I just started keep painting without stopping. When I was 18, I decided I want to study art after a long 2 years of not knowing what to do with my life. My dad wanted to be a doctor, and it was not for me, but I try. It's been great to decide. It was life-changing to say the first time I went to an art gallery and I noticed the power that you have by showing your ideas and expressing from another angle that is not only the rational one. I was mesmerized and I said like, I want to be an artist. It was the first time I felt that. And I decided like, I'm doing it. I put a lot of effort on it, and I got a scholarship to college to study art. It's been a long journey. I have 10 years out of school, and I've been building up my career slowly, consistently. I feel proud of what has been happening in the last years. It's a lot of work. Most people is like, oh, you're talented. And I'm like, it's this amount of talent and it's this amount of work, like in any other field. So the first time I got to know about the museum is just when I arrived to Erie in 2021. Well, actually the second time, because I was here in May and then I came back in November to do my first like big commission here. I thought like I'm gonna stay here for a lot of months and I want to connect with the art scene, and I was checking like I always check for the big museums in cities, like which is the main museum. And of course, this entrance is so beautiful. I was like, oh, this museum. And I talked to my family, it's like, oh, you should exhibit there. And I was like, I don't think we can make that. Like, this doesn't happen that way. Like, you don't go and knock the door, hey, can I have an exhibition here? And so I was like, yeah, well, whatever. I got introduced to galleries and other people, and actually I got 3 shows already last in the 2022. But then it was just like great to see the museum, great that it existed, but I never thought it's possible, or even like, I don't know. I was not going straight forward to do that, but my family had this idea. They wanted to contact the museum. And I was just like coming and seeing some great shows here. And I got in contact with Laura, with the director, like with many other people through Erie Arts and Culture. They contacted me because I wanted to meet the art scene. They were very nice to introduce me to all these artist galleries and everyone else, stores. But we never got to like have a meeting or anything. And then she came to my show, Botanical's 1020 Collective. And we got along very well. That was the first time I think we really met. I don't remember if we met before at some point in some of these other artist meetings, but she liked it, the show. We have a picture, we're shaking hands. We were very happy. A few months after, when I came back to paint the purposive placemaking program, the mural for the program, with the Rares and Colors, she called me to have a meeting, and so she invited me for this project. Entre Plantas y Mujeres, it's an exhibition that used to have another name before, but it was the same essence. It was called before Female and Botanical Representation, but it was too serious, so we, it was just like the main concept at the beginning. But when I approached to the collection, to the permanent collection in October 2022, I said, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I need to see first. Like, I need to see everything. And we spent 2 days, all day, going through all the pieces. It was a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. I knew it was like a great opportunity to see a lot of art that not most people see. And I was so curious about to know, like, a museum collection. What do they have? Like, different years, artists. It's a lot of history there. It's a lot of content and a lot of ways to see art, because you have sculptures, you have paintings, you have different types of everything. Like, going through all these pieces, I started noticing, like, in the middle, like, there's been a lot of portraits of women, and there's also a lot of botanicals. There's so much more than in this room, of course. I have to pick. First, I went to 200 pieces. I'm interested in these 200 pieces, but we will need the whole museum to show them. So let's narrow the selection. Also, like, I really wanted to do it like very genuine. So I was spending all these months. First, I was looking everything here in real life, but then when I went away and I was in Peru, I got the files and a PDF, and I was still looking at them. But also, not much, because I wanted to have this feeling of what is remaining in my head, like what resonated with me that I can't forget about it. And so all these pieces were those type of pieces that were in my mind all these months. And so everything is very visual at the beginning. So I was having this approach by visuals, but then I started to understand what I was seeing while working on my own art, because this exhibition is about the collection, the selection that I do for this collection, but also it's about how do I respond to it with my art. And I wasn't so sure what it was going to happen, but I was just like trusting in myself, in my unconsciousness, like how this is inside of me already and how it's going to come to life. And in the middle of the process, I noticed, okay, so we have plants in patterns, we have plants only botanicals, we have women, we have nudes, we have portraits. So when you get into the room, what do I want the people to feel? That they are between plants and women. And the title is in Spanish also because I want to, actually, it's very interesting because we have the opening yesterday, and I noticed how important it really was to have the title in Spanish. So many people from the Latin community was yesterday here, and they felt proud, and they wanted to see a Latino artist, and I think it's good. I think it was more important than I thought, and it's very important to put these minorities also on the light, on the spotlight. They can feel proud of their heritage and everything. So I'm very happy that we did it this way, and also we're going to have more activities in Spanish. Of course, we'll have everything in English too. That's something that for sure is going to be there, but it's great that we can have it also in the other way, because also my whole self it's embracing my heritage. Like, while I'm painting, I'm listening to salsa, to other rhythms, like the way I flow with the art. Everything it's a whole thing. Finding this, I feel like these pieces find me. Right, I find them, but they find me too. Like, we connected. And also, something that I miss saying is that, like, I approached to some artists, like I wanted to meet them if they were alive, if they were near here, if they were part of this community before. And so I already interview some people, and after those interviews I decide I want to have these pieces too. That was very important. Also, researching, we decide not to have some pieces on the exhibition too. We go further on that subject, but so the process is also first very visual. Second, I start to pull these ideas together, because you have the 200 pieces. Then I was on 78. Then I went to 40, and I went to 30. Like every time, like, oh, I don't want to get rid of this piece, but okay, I'm resonating more with these ones, right? I mean, I loved it, but I don't feel like my work is responding to that. So also, it was the opposite perspective. Like when I saw what I was doing, the art that I was creating, I noticed, okay, I feel this comes from this one, from this together. And to be honest, it's not coming from this one. So let's put this away, you know? How do we curate the space is very important. Not only to pick the pieces, but when I was having it at the studio upstairs, I was like, okay, this is a group of portraits, this is a group of heels, this is a group of pictures. And I start to have conversation with them, in between themselves too, and then with my art. And when we decide how to bring it down here, it's another part of the process that is very important. How to show them, how to explain how do I feel about them. We paint the walls in some special colors. We display this area for these ones. I'm very excited to see the virtual visit. So this is also how it ended. So at the beginning, I think when I was doing the curatorship, also everything is very visual for me. That's how I worked. But then I was worried about how I'm gonna pull this on writing to do the text. And I noticed how good and how helpful it was to talk with people about what I was feeling. Just like without any expectations, just like talking. Hey, I like this because of this. I've been putting this like a nickname. I have a nickname for some pictures that I call them David Lynch still, like from movies, still movies from David Lynch. They are not from David Lynch, but that's how I feel them together. So, and that started giving me more ideas. So when I went to the text, I recognized that how important it was to talk with other people, with Laura especially. She's so bold, and also she is very generous, like in creative process, because she gives you space. She has her ideas, and she's gonna tell you, or she's gonna agree with you, but she gives you this air to think, to do, to create, and I feel very grateful with the museum and the way things went all this time. So I had a few challenges all this and all this process. First, the distance. When I started, I started to travel away from Erie, and I wanted to start working because I knew this was gonna be a long project. Like, I'm not just gonna come here and like do it fast or something like that, because I really want to embrace the collection. I want to have it inside of me. Like, if I really want the outcome to be very genuine, as I said. So even when I wasn't here, I was thinking about this show all the time when I was away, even when I was dreaming. The days before arriving here, it was like maybe late May. I couldn't stop thinking about the exhibition all night when I was in bed. I was like, I want to do this, I want to have this like this, and just like having all the ideas. So much anxiety, maybe, but very exciting. The challenge, it was the distance. Second, it was that we have to decide to put away some pictures of the show, because we want to address this in the future. We'll have talks. I think that the most challenging thing right now, it's everybody thinks the show it's nice, it looks good, but I want to get deep. I want to get deep in the meaning of the show. I want to get deep with people about subjects that surround women nowadays, and we can discuss this. It's gonna be good for the community. And I think that's the biggest challenge right now. If you like what I do, or if you want to keep in touch with me, like, I'm a very open person. I like to talk about subjects that are about art, about women, about plants. So I will invite you to follow me on my Instagram, Ana Balcazar Bartra. I know it's difficult, but you can look maybe on the museum page. And you can go to my webpage, and you will be updated about everything what's happening, because we're gonna have a lot of activities here on the show the next months. This is going to go through May 12th, 24. So You're welcome to join us for all these activities. Some of them are online, so you don't have to be here in Erie. Some of them are going to be here in the presence of the show. So if you are in Erie, you're welcome to join us. Some of them are for free. And if you have any request, any idea, contact us. We can do something for you here in the show. Thank you to the Erie Art Museum.